To introduce you to Jane Sutter. She'll be doing our webinar on blogging for your business. She's a certified SCORE mentor in Rochester and also the owner of Sutter Communications here in Rochester, New York. She's an award-winning journalist with more than 30 years experience in writing, editing, blogging, and managing at newspapers, magazines, and websites. In 2015, she published her own book called Sutter's Sodas Satisfy, and it's a memoir of 90 years of the Sutter Drug Company. So she also writes a couple blogs, and in a bit we'll put that up on in the chat so you have a link for her blogs as well. So without further ado, Jane Sutter, I'll let you take over from here, and if there's no questions from here on out, we'll continue.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kristen. So good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here so you can see the PowerPoint beginning. Perfect. Good. Well, thanks. Kristen gave you a really good overview of my career. I spent 33 years in the newspaper business, most recently at the Democrat and Chronicle, and that was where I learned how to blog. I was on the editorial board. We had a blog starting in, well, when I joined it in 2009. And so I blogged about a lot of local and national issues. And when I left the DNC in 2014, 6 years ago this month, actually, to rewire, as I like to say, because I'm too young to retire, I did write and self-publish a book about my family owning a pharmacy in Iowa for 90 years. Since then, I've worked with other authors on self-publishing. To promote that book, I launched a blog, and which is now morphed into a blog promoting a second self-published book that I produced last year that is also about local history in my hometown. And then I also have a blog on my Sutter Communications website. So I've been teaching blogging for a few years for SCORE, and this presentation is going to be 90 minutes. It's going to cover quite a bit of territory. It is being recorded, so if you miss anything, you can go back and jot it down. But first, to get started, Kristen is going to put up a short poll for you to answer so I can get a better idea of a little bit more about if you're already blogging and that kind of thing. So if you could take a minute to fill that out, that would be great, because that helps me to know how many of you already have a blog and what kind of a business that you have, and what you do, if you provide services or products or both. So just take a couple of minutes to do that. You can see where everybody is. So I see one of you does have a blog, a couple of you don't. Okay.
Jane, this is Kristen. If you want, I can end the polling and then we can see the results.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Everybody's had a chance to put in their info.
Yeah, that's fine. Good. Okay.
Here we go.
All right, great. So one of you has a blog, 4 of you do not. most of you are business to consumer businesses, and one selling products, and all of you are selling products and service. So that's great. Okay, so I think we can take that down now. Okay, good. All right, great. Well, let's talk about then why, trying to get my slide to move. Okay, why should a business have a blog? There's a lot of reasons, but here are 3 key ones. One is for search engine optimization, which we are going to talk more about later. It allows you and or your staff to establish yourselves as experts. And it also gives you a place for calls to action, which of course you want to have on your website, but also from your blog too, if you're offering a special, that kind of thing, or you're going to be doing a webinar yourself. So having a place for calls to action. So I'm going to share with you some statistics here about advantages for businesses that blog. This is from HubSpot. Companies that blog have 55% more website visitors. Business to consumer companies that blog get 88% more leads than those that don't. So that's an amazing statistic. Business to business companies that blog get 67% more leads than those that don't. So that's, to me, that's really good statistical information on why you want to have a blog. So I'm going to go down and share with you, here are some of the things I'm going to be covering today with regard to blogging. Why you should have a mission statement for your blog and elements of a good blog. Why having a great headline is important. Being consistent, why that needs to be a priority. I'm going to share with you some websites that have blogs that do it well, because frankly a lot don't do it well, but these do it well. You can have, I'm going to talk about driving traffic to your blog via social media, SEO, and email, and how to make money from your blog too. So some opportunities there with regard to that. So first off, we're going to talk about a mission statement. So when I worked at the Democrat and Chronicle, whenever we launched a new section, a new magazine, a new website, we always wrote a mission statement to clarify our thinking. And I think that works really well for blogging. So I would suggest that you put together a mission statement. Even if you already have a blog, if you don't have a mission statement, putting down in writing what you're trying to do, I think is really important. So you can see there what would be elements. You want to say, what's the goal of your blog? Is it to educate your audience? Is it to get new customers? Is it to retain your current customers? Share your expertise, etc. And then in your mission statement, you can also list some examples of, what kind of content are you going to have in your blog? Who's going to be the audience for your blog? And then also how often the blog will be updated. And we'll talk about some of those things as we go through. We're not going to take time today. Normally when I teach this in a live group setting where we're all in the same room, I will take 5 minutes to have you start drafting that. But in the interest of time today, I'm not going to do that right now. So, all right. So one of the things that we really want to touch on today is, what is good blog? What are the features of a good blog? So first of all, you always want to keep your reader at the forefront. You want to be thinking, what is the information that my reader wants to know? Especially during the time of the pandemic. If you've had to change the way you do business, which you very well may have, You want to be thinking about what are the things that they want to know. They may want to know about how you've changed your business practices to protect your clients, how you've pivoted your business. Maybe you're doing something different than you were doing before. Maybe you're offering a different product, a different service. Maybe you have gotten involved in community service with regard to having additional time if you've had to partially shut down your business. So keep your reader at the forefront on those things. You can educate your reader, entertain your reader, engage your reader. I would say you may not educate and entertain in the same blog, but you certainly want to be engaging in every blog. You can share your opinion. If there's there's more than one way to do things. So if you want to share your opinion on a hot topic that's going on in your business right now, that's a great opportunity to do it. If there's controversy about some aspect of your business, you may want to share your opinion on which way you lean on that. Or just to give advice on sorting through all the information that's out there. You may want to tell a story or an anecdote. Those are great ways to engage readers and capture their attention by starting your blog with a story about a customer, not using their name unless they give you permission, of course, or tell some type of a story to get the reader drawn into your blog. That's something that journalists who write, that's what they do a lot. As you know, they start off a story with a real person. You want to make your blog easy to scan. So people are busy. You can use bullets or subheads to break up long copy blocks. We'll show some of that later. You can include photos if they're relevant. Readers love visuals. So I would definitely, you want to include some photos or graphics, flow charts, any kind of chart. And then we'll talk later about the search engine optimization, using strong keywords for that, and provide links to relevant content as appropriate. So you might want to say, for more information, you can refer them to previous blog posts where you've written something that's related, or you can provide a link if there's something more in depth that you want them to read that's from another source. There's nothing wrong with, people who are coming to your blog, they want to become knowledgeable. So keep that in mind. They want knowledge. That's why they're going to take the time to read your blog. So I'm going to see, does anybody have any questions at this point?
Hi, Jane, it's Kristen. Couple questions. One is, someone wrote, I really dislike Facebook for various reasons. I'd like to substitute a blog for updates to replace Facebook. And I guess, is that an option?
Sure. I mean, we're going to talk later about building an email list. So you can certainly use an email newsletter as a way to share. You can also use LinkedIn. We're going to talk about LinkedIn, but there's other, what you really want to think about is, where is my audience and where can I go to share my content with your audience?
Thank you. And we do have another question. It is, how long should a blog post be?
That's a really good question that I get a lot. It used to be that there was a school of thought that blog posts should be really short, such as 300 words or so, but that has changed over time now that people are much more savvy and used to reading on a small screen, a phone, or an iPad. So you can definitely write longer than that, but you want to make sure that you break it up with either photos, bullets, subheads, because people are scanners. So that's why here on Writing a Good Blog, I say make it easy to scan. So that's the most important part when it comes to writing. And also, it's okay to break up a blog, make it into 2 or 3 parts. If you have an in-depth topic, cover part of that topic in 300, 400 words, and then say in my next post, I'm going to cover this, and in my next post, I'm covering that. So you can also do that for shorter blogs, and that gives you more separate content files, which is good for SEO. Okay, great.
Great,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
those.
And if anybody else has questions they would like to ask, just type them into the Q&A.
Yes, thank you, Kristen.
Thanks, Jane.
Sure. All right, so now we're going to talk about headlines and why headlines are really important. When I worked at the Democrat and Chronicle, we trained our copy editors to write headlines with strong keywords for search engine optimization purposes. And I'm talking about, more than 10 years ago, we really started emphasizing that as people were getting more and more on the web in 2004, 2005. We really recognized that people are searching in Google, in Bing for content. One thing about a headline, you don't want to make it too long, 8 words, maybe 10 at the most, but a part of that is because when people do search in Google, for example, you'll see that headlines get cut off if they're too long. So you want to make sure, when you're searching and all the different files come up, different articles that you can read, you want to make sure that the keywords are coming up. A good headline can urge the reader to take action if that's appropriate. You also want to use clear, straightforward language. That's really important because if you write something cutesy, if you write something that's poetic, but people read it and they're like, I have no idea what this article is about, then they're not going to, first of all, they're not going to find it through SEO, and they're not going to know what it's about, so they may not click on it. And I also put up here a website that I greatly recommend when you're first starting out in blogging. It's through a company called CoSchedule, and it's a headline analyzer. So you go to that, and I'm not going to demonstrate it today, but it's free, and you type in your headline, and it will give you a score. It will tell you if your headline has good keywords in it. It will tell you if your headline displays an emotion, which can be good, especially a positive emotion or a negative emotion. It will give you various, and then it will also give you lots of good information tips on how to write a good headline. So I would say definitely check out that tool. I don't always use it, but it is fun to do. Okay, so now we're going to talk more about, I know, I have another, I wanted to see, does anybody else have a question before we go into some other detail? Okay, nobody has any other questions?
We do have one. How frequently should you create a new blog post?
Okay, that's a really good question. And what I suggest, and I'm going to go into this in a minute, is consistency. And so you have to decide with your time frame what makes the most sense. A minimum of once a month, you should update your blog. There have been, a couple of years ago, there was a huge study of thousands of people who blog, and they found that the people who were most likely to be consistent and to keep to consistency, blogged either every 2 weeks or once a month. Writing weekly can be difficult, especially at first. I mean, ideally, if you can get to once a week, that's a great thing to be able to do. But I would rather have new bloggers write a really good blog and post once a month or once every 2 weeks in order to really get into a rhythm and be consistent. So let me go into the next slide here about consistency. And so as I say, the best thing you can do to be successful at blogging is to be consistent. And that's because every time you blog, you create one more index page. So it helps you show up in search engines and get discovered on social media. And consistency helps your followers know to expect posts on certain days and certain times. So you show that you're serious. You know, you're not just playing around. You actually are serious about sharing information with people. And here's some reasons why consistency pays off. So these are the same stats that I showed earlier, right? Companies that blog have 55% more website visitors. Business to consumer companies get 88% more leads, and B2B companies get 67% more leads. So keep those in mind as you look at blogging, that it can really pay off for you in the long run. It takes a while, but like everything else that you do, if you start and you remain consistent down the road, it's going to work. So I want to take a few minutes now. I'm going to get out of the PowerPoint in here, and I'm going to go show you. Well, before I do that, let me show. Come on. There we go. Oh, here we go. This is another slide I forgot about. Consistency. Schedule your writing time and stick to it. These are some tips. Turn off your distractions, especially your phone. You know, one of the things that I will do if I am not waiting on a call or a text, I will put my phone in another room for like an hour. Log out of social media. You can set a deadline. Like I'm going to work on this for a solid hour. I'm not going to get up, not going to do anything else. You can develop a template for your blog to make it easier to write. So a template could be 5 things you need to know about X, you know, 8 ideas about X, you know, things like that. And then when you've written your blog, you can reward yourself in some way. So now I'm going to go to a couple of well-done blogs, and I've got to switch out of this screen, and let me go here. Okay, this is Sandra Beckwith, and she is a book marketer. She works with authors all around the world on how to market their books, regardless of whether they self-published or they went with a traditional publisher. So she's local. She lives in Fairport, New York. And the reason I show her blog is because she writes very helpful blogs. She's very consistent. She posts a new blog every Wednesday. And you can see that, I'll just scroll down a little bit, you can see her website here. She talks about what she does. She offers resources to take the guesswork and mystery out of book marketing, promotion, and publicity. You can see right here, she's offering something free in order to capture your email address here. So that's an excellent way to get people to, because then what she's going to do is every Wednesday she sends out an email newsletter that has a link to her blog in it. So people are reminded, oh, she has a new blog. And then her website goes down and talks about her services and what she does. So I'm going to go up here and click on her blog. Okay, so here's her blog. You can see she posted it today, June 10th, How to Pitch Radio and Become a Talk Show Guest. So notice how she has keywords, pitch radio, talk show guest. So if anybody is Googling on that topic, her blog will come up. And you can see here, the way she's got this set up is that she has a few paragraphs, and then you click on read more to see the rest of the blog. And then she has her blog from last week, how to use eyedropper for consistent author branding color. So that's a some type of a website that you can use. Turn your book marketing around with these 4 tips. So if anybody is Googling book marketing, they can find her blog with that. And then here's a great trick, is to use a great technique, use numbers. People love blogs. Studies have shown that people love articles that have numbers in them. So here's 3 social media mistakes authors must stop making now. So if you're Googling social media and author mistakes, you're going to find this. It's going to come up. And then we've got some jazz up your book promotion with jazzy June holidays. So if you're looking for an idea, these kinds of things. I also want to show you right here, she's got her social media buttons. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. So those are all very easy to find if you want to start following her. And you know, she is a solo entrepreneur. She does work with others in the related field. She'll do webinars with people who are in the book distribution business, for example. So not something that she does, but that she knows her authors need to know about it. And you'll see again, prominently right next to her blog is the same thing about capturing your email address. And this top 5 free book promotion, it's a 1-page PDF. So it's something that is, you know, she knows authors are interested in, but it's nothing big, but it's something that people say, yeah, I want to get that content. I often will come across something and sign up to get some free content, and then they've got my email. And if I get tired of their emails, or if I decide they're not appropriate for what I'm looking for, then I'll let those go. But this is a great technique to capture people for an email newsletter. And she also has a Facebook group that she uses a lot. You know, as you probably are aware, Facebook is pushing groups more and more because people are disenchanted with the main Facebook feed. So you can see right here, she shared a link 2 hours ago on her Facebook page, and she already got a comment. And then she also allows people who join her group to post their own things. And she's very good about going in and commenting on posts. She's welcoming new members here. So we're going to talk about Facebook in just a couple of minutes here. But you can see that different people are interacting. Here she's sharing a webinar that she signed up with that she thinks other people might be interested in. So she doesn't use her Facebook group only to promote herself and her services and her blog. She's sharing content that those people are interested in. And I also want to go over to her LinkedIn. She told me that LinkedIn is important to her, that she uses LinkedIn a lot to find potential new customers. And you'll see right here in her description, she says she's a book marketing coach and a freelance content writer. And she has her get promotion right here. Get free book marketing tips at buildbookbuzz.com/gift. So you can see here she's commenting on different things that she thinks her audience is interested in, liking, etc. You'll see further down. Here's her post from a while ago today. She put on her blog, so she's also sharing it on LinkedIn too. And she also shares it on Twitter and Pinterest, but I'm not going to go to those right now. And so she goes where she has her target audience. She gets people to join her Facebook group. She has thousands of people in there. She's been blogging since 2007. And, you know, she told me this really pays off for her. And she has, imagine the library of blogs that she's got that she can pull from. She also will occasionally have guest bloggers. She invited me a few years ago to write a guest blog after I had a successful book promotion event for the first book that I wrote. And I really enjoyed doing that. And by, you know, doing that, I got some more followers on Facebook. She got some of my followers on Facebook, etc. So look for ways to collaborate with other people who are in a related business, you know, not a direct competitor, but somebody else who has interesting information to share that your folks are going to, you know, that your customers may be interested in. So this is an example of a blog by a solo entrepreneur. And that's what I want to emphasize, because I know with SCORE we work with a lot of very small businesses. So, but for aspirational content, I'm going to show you this other blog. As soon as my little thing is away from me, there we go. The Fill. I love the name of this blog. It's called The Fill, and it's sponsored by a company called Budget Dumpster, and they rent dumpsters. But their blog is not about renting a dumpster. Their blog is all about home improvement. You can see they have various categories: home improvement and do-it-yourself, home organization and decluttering, home staging and moving, sustainability, green living, reuse and recycle. So here's an example of, you know, they share expertise. So anybody who's buying or renting a dumpster, they're doing something around their house, right? They've got stuff they've got to get rid of. So this one is how to build a ground level deck. And let's click on the read more. And one of the reasons why I show this is because they do a great job with subheads. They've got do-it-yourself deck building basics. Then they have a list, supplies and tools for building a deck. The cost of building a deck. You can see they've got some links here. Preparing to build your own deck, right? They've got a pull quote here, a photo, and then how to build a deck in 8 steps. Now this is a big national company, so they have a staff of people who are writing these blogs. But you know, over time, as you write blogs, you can categorize your blogs in the same way for your readers. And again, so they've got the step-by-step how to do these things. So, you know, think about what is the content that your customers or potential customers are interested in, and that they would want to use to be able to utilize for themselves. You know, and you know, for them in this era of the pandemic, a lot of people we knew are doing home improvement projects, right? So this is a great opportunity for them to market their dumpsters by sharing information that people want to know. So those are 2 that I hope you'll, when you have time, you'll go back to and take a look at. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint now. And one of you had asked about Facebook. I'm going to, Tamara McDuff, who is our expert in social media, she knows a lot about Facebook. So I'm going to go a little further here and ask her if she'll jump in and talk a little bit about using Facebook. I've got just 3 things here about how to use Facebook's notes feature, experiment with hashtags, look for Facebook groups. But Tamara, do you want to talk about Facebook?
Sure, I'm happy to talk about Facebook. First of all, Facebook is a very popular platform. If your clients are there, you really need to look at leveraging the publishing options of Facebook. Facebook allows you to have like a backyard barbecue kind of conversation with your clients and give them little tiny tidbits of information. So it helps you to drive traffic to your blog, your actual blog site. If you use the hashtags in Facebook, please don't use 20 hashtags. 3 to 5 hashtags will work. That is one of the best ways to get your content in front of other people to increase your reach without paying for it. That's otherwise known as organic marketing. You haven't put money behind it. The other thing about Facebook that Jane is going to talk a little bit about is using the notes feature. That is just like the article feature on LinkedIn. It makes your blog post or a post that you want to look like a blog. It makes it look like a blog, and it keeps people on the Facebook platform, which makes Facebook happy. And so consider using that. And that's found over in your tabs section on the left-hand side of your Facebook page. And then the other thing is the Facebook groups, like Jane's going to talk about. Absolutely start a Facebook group to build community around your blog topic or your business topic. That's a great way to encourage prospects to come find you and look at you as the expert that you are in your field. So I know people don't like Facebook, and I'm absolutely a fan of not reinventing the wheel, and I'm a fan of not making you do something you really, really don't want to do. And so to that end, I will tell you it's absolutely okay if you do not want to use Facebook. Just know that I don't want you to cut your nose to spite your face, because it is a very popular platform. And if your clients are there or your prospects are there, you really need to consider that. But that being said, your blog can do just fine. Your business will do just fine if you are not on Facebook. So if you're really allergic to it, by all means, stay away. That's pretty much a quick synopsis of Facebook. I would post consistently. Keep in mind what Jane was talking about. Jane mentions consistency. That is very true in your social media postings as well as your blogging capabilities. And also, when you're consistent on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, wherever you are, understand they need to see things like 5 to 7 to 10 times, which is why you post a little bit, you drive traffic back to your, to your blog, to your website, or your contact us page. It's just another way to give another perspective for your prospects to follow you.
Great.
Are there any questions on Facebook that I could answer real quick? Or Jane, was there something about Facebook you wanted me to talk about that I forgot?
No, I think that's great. And I like how you said, you don't have to use Facebook, but, don't cut out your opportunities if, try it and see how it works for you. It's tricky. I mean, there's a lot that you can learn. Facebook continues to change things, and that's why I turn to Tamara for the latest on what's the best way to use Facebook. And I don't know if she has at some point you'll probably be teaching a social media on Zoom perhaps for us?
Yes. We've gotten a lot of requests. So Kristen and I will be
Yeah.
taking a look at the calendar, and we'll probably be doing another either social media series, or we'll just do, one thing a month on stuff. But we'll definitely be touching on Facebook and LinkedIn. Those seem to be the two platforms we get the most questions about.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Mhm.
Good. All right. I wanted to thank you, Tamara, and I know you have to leave pretty soon, but I want to share quickly with you how using a Facebook group really helped me with the two books I've written about my hometown in Iowa, my family's business, and then a second book that I wrote about other businesses that people remembered fondly. My hometown is Burlington, Iowa, and we have on Facebook a book group called, a couple of groups on Facebook. One is called Photos of Burlington, Iowa, or Pictures of Burlington, Iowa, where you can just join and people post photos because everybody takes pictures, right? And then there's another one called Historical Photos of Burlington, Iowa. And so I am a member of those groups, and I stumbled across, when I was writing my first book, I posted an old photo of the drugstore, one of the drugstores. It was from a street view. And I posted in one of those groups and I said, does anybody recognize what year these cars would be? Because there was no date on the photo. It was a family photo. And people started chiming in, oh, that's a 1945 Ford or whatever. But then people started saying, oh, I remember Sutter Drugstore. I used to go to the soda fountain all the time and get a chocolate soda or buy a tuna salad sandwich or whatever. Within like 24 hours, I had hundreds of likes on this photo and all these memories. And I was like, wow, I am onto something here.
Yeah.
So on occasion, as I was still writing the book, I would share a photo and I would just mention casually, I'm writing this book. And then when it came time to have a book signing there at a small independent bookstore right downtown, right across the street from where the flagship drugstore had been, I was able to share that on Facebook. And I know for a fact that people I had never met before came to that book signing because they had seen it in that Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook groups can be super effective because that's where people are going who have a common interest. And so if you don't have there's not a Facebook group already for something that would be related to your business, you can be like Sandra Beckwith and you can start one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really think that Facebook groups are super effective for entrepreneurs.
Yep, it's a new way to give legitimacy to your business, right? Because when people search
Yeah.
for you, they will search in Google, of course. And if
Right.
for some reason your site or your blog doesn't come up, they'll go to Facebook. That's like the second or third largest search engine.
Yes.
And if you don't come up on Facebook because you didn't want to be on the platform, you have to remember that your competition is getting there. And you don't have a shot at anybody trying to compare you to, anyone else. So, but it does go back to your strategy about how you're going to market and advertise your business. So I don't get paid by Facebook. I don't have anything to do with whether or not people get on there or get off there. But, it's just, I like to point out so I can educate people and let them know, make the decision from a good place and be okay with it. That's all.
Right. Great. All right.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Jane.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm going to go back here, kind of jumping around a little bit, but here's a slide that I normally lead off with on the social media part. So what's the number one tool? I get that asked a lot. You want to experiment with different tools to find out where your audience is. Twitter, that might be super helpful for you. Facebook, maybe Instagram, if you are selling very colorful, beautiful products. Maybe Pinterest. You can use a tool like TweetDeck and Hootsuite to help you manage your social media posts. They both have free versions. If I don't have time today to show those, but if you're not familiar with them, I would definitely take a look at them and play around with them, play around with the free version. It really helps you in your posting, timing your posts, so you don't have to be constantly going on social media throughout your day to post. You just time your post. And then make sure that you do engage with people on your social media. That's important. I make sure if I post something in that's related to my book in one of the Facebook groups, I post it when I know I'm not going to post it and walk away. I'm going to post it and I'm going to stay on there for probably at least a half an hour, maybe an hour. I post at times when I know people are going to be in that group, which for a lot of people is in the evening or on the weekends. And then maybe I'll come back to it an hour later and chime in. And I get good ideas for chapters for a new book that I'm writing, just because people talk about other businesses that they remember. So make sure that you engage, because that's the fun part. That's the fun part of social media, right? LinkedIn, as Tamara mentioned, she gets a lot of questions about LinkedIn. That's a great tool if you're trying to get business clients. 76% of executives on LinkedIn check it daily. 40% of all LinkedIn users check it daily. So that's in and of itself a really good reason why to use LinkedIn. Has the most affluent demographic and twice the growth in active users. So it used to be that people thought LinkedIn was just for if you were looking for a job, right? But not anymore. People are sharing a lot of good content on LinkedIn. And you want to make sure you use hashtags related to your blog's topic. Just like with the hashtags that are have those keywords in them, right? And search on LinkedIn for various hashtags to see what are the most popular hashtags and use those when they're related. You can add your blog link to your profile by going to your profile page. You'll see on your profile that there's a link that says add media. If you haven't already added media, then you can add a link to your blog there. You can add individual posts to your profile page to get those to come up in your news feed. You can just post the link to your blog post, which is what Sandra Beckwith is doing, or you can write a new short post as an article. You can use the article function on LinkedIn, and that will amplify part of your first post and then post that on LinkedIn. As in, you can say for more tips, click here, and then it takes people to your actual blog yourself. So let's see. One other thing I'm going to go back to that I skipped, which is email. And then I'll take a few, see if there are any more questions. All right, so develop your tribe via email. Email is still super popular for people. I know we all complain, we get too many emails, but if people like your content, they will subscribe and they will continue to subscribe, especially if your content is unique and they can't get it from anywhere else. So 91% of US consumers still use email daily. And at a minimum, you want to have a place on your blog for people to sign up to get notifications of new posts. And that's usually built right into the blogging tool that you're using, the blogging software, whether it's WordPress or GoDaddy or whatever you've got. Regular email newsletters help you build a following. You can offer a freebie like Sandy Beckwith does. And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. A one-page PDF where you share some tips. Make sure that you don't spam people. That's against the law. If you don't know what the laws are about spam, you can go to the FTC. Just Google FTC Can Spam Act. They've got tips and guidance. You can subscribe to a service as you are building your email list, or to help you build your email list, Constant Contact, MailChimp, etc. That can simplify the process for you. And it also gives you analytics, such as open rate. So your email is going into 500 mailboxes, let's see. How many people are actually clicking on it and opening it? That's important, right? Within your newsletter, you can provide links to your blog and other services or content you provide. Sandy Beckwith, I get her newsletter. She will often have in there links to other webinars that I might be interested in taking, not just by her, but by other people that she knows and trusts. Some of them are free. Some of them are you have to pay for, maybe $49, $99. She'll offer you a link, an affiliate link. So if she is pushing that, she'll make, you know, maybe $1 or $2 off of everybody who registers. A great resource to learn more about email marketing is score.org. That's our national SCORE website. Has a wonderful search engine in it, and you can just put in email marketing. We often offer national webinars on email marketing. Constant Contact, they offer a lot of information. They've actually done both live sessions, in-person sessions, and email marketing on the web for SCORE. They've been a partner with SCORE in the past. So definitely there's a lot to learn about email marketing, but I think that that in many ways might be more effective for you than using social media. It should definitely be of consideration in your toolbox, is what I would say. So I'm going to pause here before we go into SEO. Kristen, are there any new questions?
We do have a couple questions.
Okay.
One is, what are good platforms for blogging? Is Squarespace an easy to use platform?
Mm-hmm.
Or are there
I have never used Squarespace, but I've heard that it is good. I get this question a lot. My experience is with WordPress. At the Democrat and Chronicle, we used WordPress. So when I started my own blog, I went with WordPress because I was familiar with WordPress. And they offer a free version that you can use. They also offer a paid version that has a lot more bells and whistles that you can do with it. So I would recommend that you look into both versions. If you already have a website, on GoDaddy or any of these other platforms, they have a blogging tool on them. And so if you've got if you created your website yourself, you can search for the information on how to blog using that GoDaddy website. Or if you hired a web developer, ask them, tell them you want to put a blog on your website and have them do that for you and show you how to use it. But there are a lot of different options out there. But I do know from statistics that 80% of bloggers use WordPress because it is very easy to use.
Great, thank you. We do have another question about photos and graphics that you can use within your website. Are there any free or affordable sites that you can go to for those types of photos that you can use within your website?
Yes, there are. And that's a really good question. There is Flickr has a section called Creative Commons that I have used a lot. Some of the photos on there you can use completely for free for any purpose at all. Some of them you can use free with attribution to the photographer. Some of them will say you can use free but not for commercial purposes, which means you cannot use them in your blog. You can also look at Dreams Time is another one. I don't have a list in front of me, unfortunately, but if you Google free images, see what comes up. Google does offer some images for free, but you got to make sure that they're not copyrighted. But there are several different ones that you can try and experiment with. Graphics, I'm not sure about, but I'll bet that there are website tools that you can use to create your own graphics for free. If you're going to be blogging a lot and you really can't find the images you want, I would suggest you look at Adobe stock images. You do have to pay a monthly fee for that, but they have a huge library. And I have, on occasion, subscribed, purchased. Adobe always has a deal that you get 10 free images if you sign up for a month, and for free, and then you can cancel at the end of the month. And I did that one time when I was looking for something for a short-term project, and I went in and got 10 free images, and then you can use those as much as you want. But once you've done the deal, then after that you've got to start subscribing to it.
Thanks.
So.
A couple other, if I may, that you
can go ahead.
Is upsplash.com.
Yes, yeah.
And pexel.com, and both of those also offer free copyright free photos and graphics that you can use in your website. And to follow on that, is how would you protect your own photos if you use them in blog posts on the blog from being
good question.
Used without permission?
Yes, very good question. You can, and you'll have to Google how to do this exactly. You can put what's called a watermark on your photo that you design, and I've seen that on like travel blogs, etc. When people have taken their own photos and they don't want those to be used, taken from them. So yeah, I'm sorry I don't know the specifics on how to do that, but just Google watermark your photos or things like that, and that will give you the information to be able to put a copyright sign on them. Any other questions?
Nope, I think you should do it. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so I want to wrap up by 12:30, so I'm going to go, now we're going to talk about SEO. So hopefully you all know at least a little bit about SEO. Again, there's a lot of information out on the web. There's a business called social media marketing that I look at and I read. They even offer free courses on how to learn how to use SEO better. But for the basics, as I mentioned before, think about what are the words or the phrases that your readers would be interested in. What would they be Googling? Decide on a primary keyword or keyword phrases for your blog post, and then use those in the headline and the first paragraph of your post. And use the keywords throughout the post, but not excessively. So, but several times throughout the post. Once you start on that keyword, you want to continue to use it so it will drive traffic to your post. You can also use those keywords to tag images, use them in social media, use them as hashtags. There are some keyword research tools that you can use. Just Google keyword research tool. You will find that some of those, you get a certain number of free tries, and then, then you have to start paying. Personally, I would not pay unless I was like a huge company. I wouldn't use that. I mean, just put your keyword into Google or Bing and see what comes up. And see, you want to use popular keywords. You want to go where people are searching for information. And you can also use on your blog a plugin. There's a free version of Yoast, which is what I use. So by using that plugin on your blog, when you write your blog, Yoast will tell you if your keywords are effective, if you're using them enough, if you've got them in your headline. It will provide you with reminders about the keyword. And it's a very useful tool. I have used it. It's free. You can get a more advanced version, but the free version I use is fine on my blogs. And that helps a lot with me saying, oh, okay, I don't have my keyword. I used my keyword in my headline in the first paragraph, and then I forgot to use it in the rest of the blog. You can also use the keyword in your subheads, in your photo captions, with your graphics, etc. So you definitely want to use it throughout the blog post and what you're doing with regard to that. Let's see. I think that is. Oh, here we go. How to make money from your blog. This is my last slide. And so how do you make money? Well, direct sales of your products and services. So you're going to be telling people about the products you sell. If you have a new product, you're going to tell them about your service if you've got a new service. You can also develop and become a brand spokesperson or an ambassador for a brand. I have a friend here in Rochester who writes a blog called Hungry Food Love. She's from the Dominican Republic, and she writes about, shares recipes. She loves her Dominican heritage. She's married, she has 2 small children. She loves to cook. So she has become a brand ambassador for Dole products like Dole pineapple. She's become an ambassador for some other various products. I think one of them is, I think it's called Jenny, and it's like turkey, ground turkey, etc. And she is very upfront, which you need to be, with her blog, saying that this blog is sponsored by, Dole, but the recipe is my own, the opinion is my own. I don't know how much money they pay her, but obviously she is getting paid enough that it's worthwhile for her to be an ambassador. Now, obviously, she worked very hard over the years to develop her tribe. I don't know what the minimum is that these companies required for her to have following her blog. She's been blogging now for probably, on her own, I think maybe 8 years. So and that's just something she does on the side. She's a marketer for another company, but that's something that she does on the side. You can sell sponsored posts to companies that want to be in front of your audience. So again, that goes back to, this post is sponsored by X brand and you're promoting their product. You can use Google AdSense or similar programs like Bidvertiser, Revenue Hits, Infolinks. You'll just have to go on and read each of those websites. They won't usually accept you into their program unless you've got, at least I would think several hundred followers. But that's something that you can do. You can do affiliate links, which again, I had mentioned with Sandra Beckwith. If she's sharing a link to a webinar that one of her someone that she knows, that she trusts, and she told me I only share things of people I've met in person and that I've sampled their products or I've heard them speak, etc. So again, she gets a little money by helping to promote their webinar. And then there's another website called buysellads.com that you might take a look at in terms of getting advertising on your blog if you want to do that. You're not going to get rich off of a lot of these things, but they definitely are something that help you to grow your audience, especially if you can become a brand spokesperson, that kind of thing. So I think that is next. And so next, I just want to share with you what do you do now? A lot of times I find that I'm presenting a lot of information. People can feel a little overwhelmed. So what I suggest people do is that in the next 48 hours, while the material is still fresh, sit down, go through your notes, maybe access this video again to see the slides, and make up a to-do list. Make writing your mission statement a priority if you don't already have a blog. If you do have a blog and you don't have a mission statement, use this as an opportunity to write one. It can really help you focus. And the other thing I didn't mention about mission statements is your mission statement may change over time. As you find what content resonates with your audience, you may drop some of the ideas that you had in your mission statement and you may pivot, and that's okay. That's fine to do. Things change, maybe your business has changed, so that can change too over time. Set deadlines for your to-do list. Ask somebody to hold you accountable. If you have a business partner, or if you have somebody in a networking group where ask someone in your networking group to hold you accountable on your to-do list and check in with you once a week. Well, what did you do last week? Write a list of 10 blog topics and set deadlines to write and post them. This is something that's super important, especially when you're first starting to blog, because you can say, oh, I don't feel like blogging because I don't have any ideas. Well, if you keep a running list of blog topics, then you will always have something to share. And as the topic occurs to you, write it on your blog topic list. And after a while, if there's a topic that you just keep putting off writing about, maybe you don't need to write about that topic. You know, maybe it's just not that relevant. So cross it off. Set deadlines to write and post them. Set up a calendar. I also recommend that you don't, if you say, I'm going to start out posting a blog the first Monday of every month, don't wait to the first Monday to write your blog. Start at least a few days ahead of time. Start a week ahead of time. Start 2 weeks ahead of time, especially if you're not used to writing on a regular basis. The last thing you want is the pressure of writing and posting your blog all in the same day. You want to write it gradually, come back, look at it, edit it. Maybe you want to have somebody, read it over before you post it. Make sure you use spell check. Super important. But keep a running list of blog topics, and that way you won't have that writer's block that can that can happen to a lot of us. So here's information about me, how you can reach me. If you are already if you already have a SCORE mentor, that means that you're in our client database, and I would be happy to do some mentoring with you one-on-one. As you know, if you've been with SCORE, you know our mentoring is free, so you can shoot me an email. If you haven't been mentored by a SCORE mentor, I don't have the website up here, but if you go to greaterrochesterscore.org, greaterrochesterscore.org, and put in there that you'll see there's an area there where you can search for mentors, request a mentor. You can request me as a mentor. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc. So I really thank you for your attention. Are there any more questions?
This is Kristen. We do have another question or comment. I had a WordPress site built, but no longer have anyone to manage it or add an email capture. Are there any suggestions in keeping the site updated? I don't know how, and also don't have funds to pay someone to do it.
Okay, so if you don't have access to your website, if that was kept by the person who is your developer, I would try and get that from them. Just say, hey, I want to, I want to reinvigorate my website or whatever. I'd like to get the login and password information from you. If you don't have that, I would contact WordPress and see what they tell you, because I honestly don't know. You may have to start from scratch. Again, there is also in Rochester a very active WordPress meetup group. And if you shoot me, Google that. If you can't find it, shoot me an email at my SCORE email address here, and I will look it up for you and send it to you. Those folks can be really helpful. I'm by no means a WordPress expert. I'm not a developer, but I actually went to one of their meetings one time a couple of years ago when I was getting started on my blog and my website, and talked to some folks at one of their meetups to get some information. I actually was looking for a suggestion on a hosting too. And so based on what they told me, I went with WordPress and Bluehost as my hosting. There's tons of different options out there. But the group was like, super welcoming. And so that's the extent of my knowledge of what you should do, but hopefully those suggestions are helpful.
Thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
I believe that concludes all the questions, unless anyone has additional questions they would like to ask. Now's the time to do it. In the meantime, I guess I'd like to thank Jane for taking the time today to present information about blogging. It's always helpful and useful for anyone working on their business. I'd also like to thank our two interpreters, Rachel Green and Byron Beam. They've been awesome helping us with our SCORE webinars and interpreting for us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jane.
You're welcome. And if you do think of a question later, just send me an email, and that's the best way to reach me, and I'll be happy to try and help you out.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a great
Take care.
day.